What's happening, guys? We are back. We're talking about my top 10 tanks in Raid Shadow Legends. These are the champions that are going to stay alive or keep your team alive just all round. If you're facing up against them, you're going to have a long fight ahead. If they're on your team, you know you're not going down. Stop right there, guys. Click on the link below and get yourself a free Karato Fox Hunter, as well as 4 amazing epics. Here's the exact steps of what you need to do. Log out of Plarium Play on PC. Step 2, click the link in the description and register with a brand new email. Step 3, launch raid and complete the tutorial. Step 4, go to your inbox and claim your first champ. Here we go. You'll find yourself Karato Fox Hunter, as well as Uugo, Rector, Drath, Tagoar and Mausoleum Mage as you progress through the game. That's it. It's that simple. Click on the link, follow those directions, and on with the video. So let's have a look. We can't start a list like top 10 tanks without starting off with one that we all love and love to hate as well. So it's gotta be Mr. UDK, Ultimate Death Knight. He is, he's kind of the OG, isn't he, really? But he is, I think, one of the first free champions we ever had. UDK is an absolute unit. He's known for being that tanky champ in arena that just won't go away and keeps on doing a Mr. President and jumping in front of the bullet in arena when you're trying to kill off the less tanky attack units and all of that. Why is he so good? Well, usually he's built really slow and in stone skin with high resistance, so it can't be stripped and all that kind of thing. But he has lots of applications everywhere. If you're early game, you'd be really hindering yourself if that's all you've done with him. So he has a provoke on the A1. He has an AoE decrease attack and a fear then on legendary champions, and that's on a 3-turn cooldown at 100% when booked. He also has a big shield and a continuous heal for all allies on a 2-turn on a 3-turn cooldown. So really good champion. But then we get into his, by the way, that shield is one of the biggest in the game because it's based off his defense. He was, I think, only the 2nd champion ever to have it based off defense. I think the first was Valkyrie. So what is this doing, right? Whenever an ally is attacked, he has a 100% chance of completely blocking it. He jumps in front of it and he takes the hit, okay? That changes to a 50% if the attacker is a boss, and it only works on single target hits, doesn't work on AoEs, okay? So we all know about that bit. But this bit is actually what kind of makes him more survivable, and it's whenever an enemy is healed, he also gets healed by 20% of that as well. There's a mastery that synergizes really well with that too. Couple that with his shield and his continuous heal, and then maybe put him in, like, you could put him in Guardian set, you could put him in Bolster set, Regen, Immortal, all of that. That gives him even more healing and regeneration. And he's not going anywhere, guys. He is just sticking around. And he's either being the backbone of your team or he's being the annoyance on the other team that you can't get rid of. He also then buffs himself by 10% for each ally that passes. What am I talking about here? Am I in a funeral home? So yeah, HP, defense and speed gets boosted by 10% for each dead ally, guys. Makes him huge and actually makes him capable of farming some stages solo as well with food. So he is very good. Can't have a conversation about tanks without talking about UDK first. So the next one up is gonna be an epic, and I shouldn't have come out of Undead Hordes. I should have stayed right there because we were going to talk about Vogot. Vogot is really good. 1 Vogot is good, 2 is better, 3 is basically infinite. Infinite unkillability because of this passive, okay? Whenever he is attacked, he heals all allies by 50% of the damage received, which is reduced to 25% from boss attacks, and he only receives half of the heal that all other allies receive, okay? coupled with that, he has an increased debuff, and he has a provoke and a conditional decrease attack, as well as a leech. So he has all of the healing, all of the survivability covered. He's healing from leech, he's healing from his own passive and healing your team, and he's decreasing attack on the bosses, on the enemies, so they can't do as much damage to your team either. Now, if you have two of them, you can go through Bommel like absolutely like the bombs don't exist, because the bombs aren't bosses. They just flat deal 50% damage. So if they're damaging one, he's healing the other Vogot. That other Vogot is healing him, and they just have a nice little synergistic circuit going there. That's my word for today, synergistic. That's my toilet roll of the day word, or word of the day, toilet paper. Toilet roll of the day, word paper. So that's Vogot. Put him in a Guardian set, guys, and he becomes even stronger because he is healing off the Guardian set. He's healing off the damage that he's taken away from other people. He's also supplying more healing out to them. So it's an insane combination. The other set that he's really good in is Curing, because it boosts that passive heal, just turns the dial to 11. For any Spinal Tap fans that are out there. I'm showing my age here. Next up, we have Islan. And actually, does Islan work well with Curing set? There's a thought. I don't actually know. That could be really good. So Islan is really good as well. Has a provoke, has an AoE decreased speed, has an ally protection and an increased defense, also places counterattack and a shield on himself. I wouldn't kind of mind him on my free to play. My only issue with him, right? This should never be a 4-turn cooldown on a legendary champion. He was a legendary fusion. This should never be a 4-turn cooldown when booked. They need to just change him and change that to a 3-turn cooldown. It's insane that it's an ally protection for 2 turns on a 4-turn cooldown on a Lego. However, having said all that, he is an insane tank, guys. If anybody is interested in seeing just how insane, go and check out Tyraku's videos on him. Shout out to Ty. He has the ally protection, obviously, but then this passive, whenever he is attacked, heals themselves by 1% for each 500 defense that this champion has, okay? So if he gets himself up to like 7k HP, no, 7k defense, then he has a, almost 15 percent heal every time he's getting hit as well. And he's also healing the allies. Then you can also put him in. You could put him in a curing set, immortal, regen, bolster, guardian, all of that good stuff as well. And he's healing even more. Now, the only thing is, unlike Vogot, he won't benefit from the guardian because he's not being attacked, okay? So it won't passively send the healing back out as well. But he is an incredible champion, one of the tankiest in the games, if you can build him properly. Now, the next up we have quite an oldie actually, and we're in the Barbarians, and we're talking about Ursuga. Now, this one is really arena based, okay? So if you have Ursuga, she has block active skills. She has all of the decreased crit damage, attack, speed, and defense. She has an ally protection and a strengthen on herself then for 3 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. Ally protection on everybody for 3 turns, strengthen on herself for 3 turns, and that's on a 3-turn cooldown. So that is the opposite. Like, it's gone the other end of the spectrum from Islan. That's complete coverage at all times, whereas Islan has a 2-turn gap in his turns versus his coverage. Then, not only does she always have this up, she also decreases the damage all allies receive from critical hits by 30%, and this champion will receive that damage instead. So that's why I'm saying it's for arena, because you don't get critical hit that often against non-arena champions, okay? You only get it in PvP, and you don't really get it in PvE. Place that you're most likely to come across in PvE is Amius, because Amius has the highest crit rate of any enemy in the game, and that's at 50%. Okay, so he's the only one. The rest, everybody else is at 15%. So that's Ursuga, incredibly tanky champion. She has basically an inbuilt ally protection with this, as well as having ally protection and strengthen, as well as having decreased attack and crit damage and a block active skills. So she's insane, guys, for survivability. Now, if we're looking any further, we mentioned Vogot, but we didn't mention somebody who is basically Vogot if he got his hands on, you know, Bane's venom to pump him up and make him insanely strong. And that is Grazor, who's not in the Lizardmen. He does always remind me of Krisk, but he's in the Ogre and Tribes. So Grazor here is insane. As I mentioned, he is like Vogot on steroids, okay? So whenever this champion is attacked, heals all allies except him by 70% of the damage received, okay? Only heals himself by 35% of the only heals everyone else by 35% of the damage received from boss attacks, and there's no cooldown on that. He also places unkillable on himself before receiving a fatal hit as well, so he's not going down. He's also keeping the rest of your team alive when he gets hit. Oh, and by the way, when this unkillable goes on, he can just lash back out with this attack all enemies, enemy max HP hit. So imagine you're against Hydra. Imagine the big numbers you're getting off that. Well, he's getting healed by 10% of the damage on each head. So he's got a full health bar again. And he increases the duration of all buffs while he's doing it. Not only that though, he has a provoke, increased resistance, increased defense on all allies for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown, and places a shield on all allies except himself when he attacks on the A1. Incredibly tanky champion, not one I have. I know we were on CFAX's account, my clanmate pulling shards the other day, and he has him. I was working on CFAX's account before, and there's so many places Grazor just allowed us to power through. Sand Devil, the old Sand Devil when it was harder, put Grazor on a team with a few other bits and pieces, and we just powered through straight to 23 without having any strategy at all. He's so good, guys. Now, we're going to stay in the Ogre and Tribes, and we are going to Diamant Coppercoin. So Diamant, he has an AoE A1 and heals all your team based on the A1. Heals all allies by 5% of his max HP and by an additional 2% of his max HP for each buff on him. Now, so if he has 10 buffs on himself, right? Every time he A1s, he's healing everybody by 25% of his max HP, which is insane. It's huge. He has a 19k, nearly 20k HP base. So that's how big that is, guys. It's insanely good. Now, charitable donation then increases duration of all ally buffs. Turn meter fills him. Then we have 3 intercept stacks to help with the survivability as well. And, oh, by the way, increase res and strengthen on your entire team. So you're going to not get debuffed as easily. You're not going to get damaged as easily. And if they do manage to land debuffs on him, he's going to flip them into their positive counterpart. So that's how he gets all of the buffs on himself as well, even if you have no buffer on your team. And then he can lash out with this and heal all your team up. So building him in retaliation, in revenge accessories, in anything that's going to make him counterattack, and your team is going to stay alive the entire time because he's going to be healing them so much. Now, so that is, I think we're halfway through there. So the next one I want to go into is Lizardmen, and that is one of my favorite healer revivers. It's so simple kit, but it's just so effective. Heal on the A1, 5% of his max HP. If it's booked up, that books up to 15, 20, 25% heal on his A1, guys, okay? That's the ally with the lowest HP. Then he has a big heal on the A2, and it also cleanses and places block debuffs, and that's on a 3-turn cooldown. That's 10% of their max HP and an extra 5% of their max HP for each debuff removed from them. Do you know what, guys? Before reading this, I wasn't even consciously aware of that, because sometimes I was like, why is he healing so much now and he wasn't healing so much the last time? So that is huge. An extra 5% for every debuff removed, and then that gets buffed up as well by another 20% if you book him out. And he has a revive, full team revive on a 4-turn cooldown with a strengthen, 50% HP and 50% turn meter. But what makes him so good in my estimation is this bit here. So allies receive 5% less damage from skills for each buff on them, and that stacks up to 25% damage reduction, which is massive, guys. If you have strengthen on, you're getting 25% less damage. And then because of this, if you just have strengthen, it's now 35% or 30% less damage. If you put more buffs on, you're getting up to 50% less damage. So he's insanely good, and he brings a resistance aura, guys. So simple to build. He doesn't need any accuracy, so you're just building health, defense, and speed, and resistance if you want it. He's one-dimensional, but that one dimension, he's a specialist rather than a generalist is what he is. So next up, we have a new champion, guys, and that is, yes, I guessed right. I wasn't sure if he was orcs or ogren, guys. Khorne. So Khorne was the champion for the Deck of Fate there, and I think he deserves his place in here. He's all about the shields. He increases shield on himself, blocks revive on the A1. He has a shield on himself and all allies, and a strengthen on all allies as well, and a counterattack on himself on a 3-turn cooldown. He cleanses himself every turn, 1 random debuff. Every 4th turn increases his defense, increases his defense every time he removes a debuff, his passive, okay? So that goes up to 30%. And by the way, his shield is based off his defense. So this means it's getting 30% bigger, and then it's getting 60% bigger as well with increased defense. So all of a sudden you're getting a shield that's up to the value of 200%, and then he grows it by 10,000 with every attack or counter attack off this as well. So that's why I thought I'd throw him in this list, guys. I think he deserves this place. I think he's going to be very, very hard to kill. A lot more of people giving out about him in the future as well. So now we move onwards with the list. Now, this next one is, she's an OG. She's around a long time. She's around in Raid longer than I am anyway, and that is Wither. There is nothing more daunting than a high resistance, high health Wither the Crowned in Arena, guys, because you cannot kill her. 24k base HP, and she has Leech and Continuous Heal on the A1. She extends Continuous Heal on the A2 and activates it as well. Also has an increased defense, and then removes all debuffs and heals by 30% of her HP on the A3. And she has a passive which places a continuous heal buff on the ally with the lowest HP for 1 turn at the start of each turn. She is actually easier to kill when she has a team around her than when she's on her own. If she's on her own, all of that healing just gets focused on herself, and she's so hard to get down, especially early game, maybe later game when it's harder to, or when it's easier, I suppose, to have one big massive nuke from your champions. She's easier to kill. But when she has a team around her, she's good at keeping a team alive. She's good at buffing and extending. And actually, she probably works really well with Senna Amberheart because of all the continuous heals and activation that she has, and extension that she has going on. So that would be a good combination to take a look at. But yeah, high resistance, high health Wither is definitely a sight to behold. She's very, very good. Next up, we have the Great, a champion that I have pulled for many times, but I've never actually gotten him, and that is Mr. Necret himself. So he himself, defense-based champion, 13.5k defense, 21k HP. He automatically places ally protection with his passives. So ally protection buff placed by this champion places a shield buff on an ally equal to 30% of his max HP, and occurs only if the ally does not already have a shield place. Now, he also then places a block debuffs and a strengthen buff for 3 turns on the ally with the lowest max HP at the start of each round. Also places a 50% ally protection buff on them for 6 turns, guys. 6 turns, and the ally protection is protected, it can't be removed. So incredibly good. He then can place all of that himself, not passively, actively. He has an ally attack that teams up with people under his ally protection, and he has a decreased attack on the A1, as well as a resistance in all battles aura as well. Now, the shield also gets placed when an ally under ally protection is attacked. They'll take damage and a shield will come on them. So the survivability, guys, is just insane. It's crazy. The last and one of my favorites, guys, was my favorite tanky champion for a long time. With a 6-star with a brimstone blessing, they can solo, I think, most content in the game, and that is Drath. Okay. So even when I had a baby account back in the day, Drath was one of my most survivable. He has a heal on his A1, heals by 5% of his max HP, or if he's under 50% HP, he heals by 10% when he attacks with the A1. But the A2 gives your entire team Perfect Veil, places a counter attack and a strengthened buff on himself. He doesn't get Veil on himself. And then this is the single biggest heal in the entire game, guys. Don't get it twisted. It is the best one. Can't even be stopped by heal reduction. Okay. What does it do? Heals one person by 20% of his max HP, and he's a HP based champion. Then he balances the HP of all allies, bringing them all up to the champion with the highest level of HP. Okay, so all you need is one champion with a high level of HP, and everybody's coming up to that level. It's insane. He then protects one ally, whoever the initial target was, with an ally protection for 2 turns, and that's on a 4-turn cooldown. But with this passive here, Transmute Pain decreases the cooldown of the Animus Infusion skill by 1 turn for every 10% of HP that this champion uses. Okay, and I don't know, guys, if it's a mistake on the Hell Hades site. I doubt it is, but this apparently is up there with HP damage dealers. The damage from this is up there with Taras, according to the site. I haven't tested it, but there you go. Now, so that is my list, guys. The counter attack on this guy, coupled with the self-healing, coupled with the balancing, is huge. I have had him solo Faction Wars, I've had him solo Doom Tower, I've had him solo Dungeons, and if you can get Brimstone in it, he can do all of them absolutely no problem. He's insane. So that's my list, guys. Let me know what you think, and you know what? I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. Bye bye.